Wrestlers come and go from WWE every year, but 2025 has proven especially controversial when it comes to cuts. From 2 big waves of releases in the first half of the year to several headline-making departures in the back half, here's everyone who walked or got their walking papers. The saga of R-Truth's brief 2025 WWE exit is a story of wrestling clashing with real life we won't soon forget. Just days after arguably the biggest match of his career against then undisputed champion John Cena at Saturday night's main event, Truth announced on X on June 1st that he was being released. That was later clarified to his contract not being renewed. But the effect was the same. Truth's 17-year second run with WWE was ending. The announcement led to shock from not just fans, but Truth's WWE colleagues too. The 53-year-old was a beloved comedic character on screen and a welcome, friendly presence in the locker room. Multiple other wrestlers posted on social media about how much they'd miss him. Even Truth's recent opponent, the man Truth often joked was his childhood hero, Cena, posted a tribute on Instagram.
He is my childhood hero. I would be, Lay's Kross, watch him every Saturday morning.
Fans started chanting, "We want Truth" at shows over unrelated matches and segments, and soon enough the writing was on the wall. Truth had to come back. So not even a full week after announcing his release, Truth returned at Money in the Bank to help Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defeat Cena and Logan Paul. On the following Raw, he debuted a more serious character under his real name, Ron Killings, but that fizzled out and he was R-Truth again by late summer. After the quick reversal of R-Truth's departure and the faked injury angle that Seth Rollins would dub the ruse of the century, fans were not exactly primed to believe Karrion Kross's insistence that he and his wife and valet Scarlett were headed out the door.
My contract is up August 10th.
It just felt like a work. Kross had a new book to promote, and it's rare for wrestlers to talk about their contract situation so openly. But by the end of the year, it was clear it was all real. Kross and Scarlett worked independent shows throughout the fall and returned to MLW in November. Both Kross and Scarlett have been relegated to the alumni section of WWE's website. After successful runs in TNA and MLW, Kross and Scarlett signed with WWE in 2020. They swooped into NXT and were quickly dominant there. Kross held the NXT Championship twice. Once they moved up to the main roster, things were less fruitful. Kross got saddled with a gladiator-like costume, including a goofy-looking helmet that immediately became the butt of jokes. Kross and Scarlett got released in one of the big waves of COVID-era cuts in 2021. The couple came back to WWE in 2022, but still struggled to find their footing. Finally, they seemed to get something going when they joined the Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering to form the Final Testament. But then AOP and Ellering got sent packing, leaving Kross and Scarlett once again on their own. Kross started delivering some shoot-like promos and gathered some grassroots support, but it wasn't enough. His last major feud was with Sami Zayn, who delivered Kross his final WWE loss at SummerSlam. Andrade's second WWE exit was weird for so many reasons. First, there's the matter of him being outright fired. That's a word rarely used in wrestling outside of Vince McMahon promos, but according to reports, that's what happened. With 18 months left on his deal, Andrade was given his pink slip in September for unspecified disciplinary reasons. In October, Andrade made one appearance on AEW Dynamite, attacking Kenny Omega. Then he disappeared, not to be seen or even mentioned again. That's because he was apparently informed of a 1-year non-compete clause in his contract, which meant he never should have shown up on Dynamite to begin with. This has led to rampant confusion about what Andrade legally can or can't do. Can he wrestle in Mexico? He has, but it's not clear if he's allowed to. Andrade himself hasn't helped much. He said in an interview on Mexican TV that he left WWE on great terms.
He got fired. I've never been fired on great terms. I don't know about you.
A former NXT champion, Andrade requested his first release from WWE back in 2021. He then went to AEW until the end of 2023 and returned for his second stint in WWE, starting with the 2024 Royal Rumble. He had most recently been teaming with Rey Fenix on SmackDown before being shown the door again. Yet another very messy situation happened when Ridge Holland's release from WWE came ahead of schedule. Holland's release was already controversial. He had suffered an injury in a match at a TNA taping and revealed on October 13th, while still recovering from foot surgery, he wouldn't be coming back. Though they released him, WWE committed to pay for Holland's rehab and needed neck surgery. But after Holland made social media comments on November 6th about feeling left out to dry and totally with his release, wondering how he would be able to pay his mortgage, WWE accelerated his departure and nixed the remainder of his contract.
I'm a little bit apprehensive about what's going to happen because it's just another another kick in the balls, really. But
Holland's last WWE match was at an NXT live event on September 12th. He wrestled Mike Santana at TNA's Victory Road on September 26th. His final televised NXT match was a #1 Contenders Battle Royal in May. He had been with WWE since 2018, with one of his, unfortunately, most memorable moments being the botched spot that severely injured Big E's neck. Not even 2 weeks after WrestleMania 41 on May 2nd, WWE cut 17 wrestlers from its main and NXT rosters, with the biggest name and biggest person being Braun Strowman. A former Universal, Intercontinental, and Tag Team Champion, Strowman first signed with WWE in 2013. He debuted on the main roster in 2015 as part of the Wyatt family, then enjoyed a breakout singles run starting in 2016. Feuding with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, Strowman captured his first and only Universal Championship in 2020. This is the second time Strowman's been dropped from WWE. He was initially released in June 2021, just days after unsuccessfully challenging for the WWE Championship.
I feel like a lot of people were surprised when you got let go. What was your reaction when you found out?
It sucked.
He had a handful of indie appearances during that hiatus from WWE, joining EC3's doomed Control Your Narrative promotion and appearing at Ring of Honor's Final Battle. Strowman made his return to WWE in September 2022 as part of a wave of returns as Triple H took full creative control. Strowman tried to add another Intercontinental title reign to his resume, unsuccessfully challenging Gunther in January 2023. He then formed a tag team with Ricochet to contend, unsuccessfully, for the tag titles. Their run together halted as Strowman went on hiatus to undergo neck surgery. By the time he returned, Ricochet was gone, so he feuded with Bronson Reed, leading to a last monster standing match in September 2024. Strowman sustained a groin injury, returning in December and feuding with Jacob Fatu in the months leading up to WrestleMania 41. Dakota Kai is another star who saw her second run with WWE come to an end on May 2nd. After a long stint on the Indies under the name Evie, she signed with WWE in 2016 and participated in the first Mae Young Classic the following year. She then went on to a very fruitful run in NXT. She and Raquel Rodriguez were the first ever NXT Women's Tag Team Champions and won the titles a second time as well. Kai's WWE contract wasn't renewed in April 2022. She indicated in interviews that it was her own choice, yet she returned 4 months later at SummerSlam as part of the Damage Control faction alongside Bayley and Io Sky. Kai and Sky had 2 reigns as the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, but knee injuries held up Kai's forward momentum. A torn ACL in May 2023 kept her on the shelf until the following February, and then a meniscus injury in May 2024 kept her out of action until that November. Kai came close to winning her first singles title in January 2025. She got to the finals of the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament, but lost to Lyra Valkyria. She also lost a rematch the following week. Her final matches with WWE came on Main Event and Raw in March. After a pretty full career as a mixed martial artist, Shayna Baszler made the jump to pro wrestling, spending a couple years on the indie circuit before debuting in WWE, like Kai in the 2017 Mae Young Classic tournament. Baszler reached the finals, losing to Kairi Sane. Baszler went on to be a 2-time NXT Women's Champion before being called up to the main roster in February 2020. She won that year's Women's Elimination Chamber match, earning the right to challenge Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 36. Baszler came up short and had proved to be the closest she'd ever come to winning singles gold on the main roster. Baszler did become a women's tag team champion 3 times, though, twice with Nia Jax and once with her old MMA pal Ronda Rousey. Arguably, Baszler's biggest WWE singles win came after the breakup of the latter team. She defeated Rousey at SummerSlam 2023 in an MMA rules match.
Ronda, I'm going to give you the fight you deserve one day.
Baszler almost immediately went back to a team, though, joining up with Zoe Stark. They added Sonya Deville to become Pure Fusion Collective. Baszler last wrestled in WWE alongside Stark on SmackDown in April in a gauntlet match for an opportunity at the women's tag titles at WrestleMania 41. They lost. Baszler also made several inter-promotional appearances at GCW's Bloodsport. 2 more women who largely made their mark in tag team wrestling found themselves among those cut on May 2nd. Kayden Carter and Katana Chance, who had runs as both the NXT and WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Like several others in the releases, Chance also got her TV start in WWE in the Mae Young Classic in 2018, initially wrestling there and in NXT under her real name, Kacy Catanzaro. She made her surprise main roster debut as an entrant in the 2019 Women's Royal Rumble, but by that September announced her retirement from wrestling due to an ongoing back injury. Thankfully, she was healthy enough to return in 2020. Carter signed to WWE in July 2018, also participating in that year's Mae Young Classic. She struggled a bit in NXT before teaming with the returning Chance in 2020. The duo won the NXT Women's Tag Titles in August 2022, setting a record with a 186-day reign. They were called up to the main roster in the 2023 WWE Draft, and by the end of that year had defeated Piper Niven and Chelsea Green to win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. That reign only lasted 39 days. The team's last WWE match was the aforementioned Women's Tag Team Gauntlet match on SmackDown in April. Before landing in NXT in early 2021, Cora Jade spent a few years on the Indies and made a few appearances in AEW as an enhancement talent under the name Elena Black. Seems like we'll perhaps be hearing that name again soon, given her May 2nd release. After spending some time finding her footing on 205 Live and in the Women's Dusty Rhodes Classic, Jade became a focal point of the revamped NXT 2.0. By the end of the year, she was not only in the Women's War Games match, but got the win by pinning NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose. That got Jade a shot at the title at New Year's Evil, a losing effort. Jade's only championship in the company was an NXT Women's Tag Team title run with Roxanne Perez in July 2022. It ended almost as soon as it began. Jade turned heel on Perez to cost her the NXT Women's title. Jade tore her ACL in January 2024, keeping her on the sidelines for 9 months.
I had no choice in the matter. And like I said, I was kind of just looking at it as like, everything happens for a reason.
When she returned, Jade helped Perez retain her NXT Women's title, realigning with her former partner. However, in February 2025, she turned on Perez once more after hearing she would not be challenging for the title at Vengeance Day. She was eventually added to the match, but didn't win. Jade last wrestled at Stand and Deliver, once again alongside Perez, for an opportunity at the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. This time, Perez turned on Jade, walking out on her partner midway through the match. Some fans were shocked to see Eddy Thorpe's name among the May 2nd releases, given how involved he'd been in NXT television over the previous few months. Thorpe wrestled under his real name Carl Fredericks in New Japan Pro Wrestling for 7 years before signing with WWE in January 2023. He debuted on NXT that March and quickly started racking up wins. He definitively came out on top in a lengthy feud with Dijak. In late 2024, Thorpe weaseled his way into an NXT championship match against Trick Williams, which ended in a double pin, resulting in Williams retaining his title. Thorpe stayed in the title picture for a few months, losing to new champ Obafemi in January 2025. Thorpe's last match in NXT came on April 15th, a loss in a four-way match for the #1 contendership for the NXT North American Championship. Shotzi's WWE journey was a long and pretty disappointing one. She got selected for the 2015 WWE Tough Enough competition, but had to drop out because a previously undiagnosed irregular heartbeat led to her failing her medical exam. She made a name for herself on the indie circuit, making her way back to NXT in 2019. Her biggest achievement there was winning the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships for 55 days in 2021, alongside Ember Moon, now known as Athena in Ring of Honor and AEW. WWE tried lots of different approaches to package Shotzi. She hosted Halloween Havoc in 2020 and memorably entered on a small tank for a while, but nothing really stuck. After a few years on the main roster, she returned to NXT in 2024. Her last TV appearance came accompanying Gigi Dolin and Tatum Paxley for a fatal four-way tag match at Stand and Deliver on April 19th. On May 2nd, WWE informed Shotzi that they weren't renewing her contract. After a successful run in the Indies and a 2018 Mae Young Classic appearance under the name Priscilla Kelly, Gigi Dolin came to NXT and got her new name in January 2021. She too mostly spent her time there in tag teams. Are we noticing a pattern here in the releases for May 2nd? Dolin was Cora Jade's teammate for the 2021 Dusty Rhodes Classic. But by July, she was aligned with Mandy Rose and JC Jane in the group Toxic Attraction. Together with Jane, she became a 2-time NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. After breaking up with Jane last year, Dolin had been recently teaming with Tatum Paxley and Shotzi, most recently challenging alongside Paxley for the TNA Women's Tag titles at that promotion's 2025 Rebellion event. Yet another women's tag team specialist, Jakara Jackson, was also among the NXT releases on May 2nd. She had just been featured during that week's episode, though that segment led to some speculation about her future. Not only did it break up Metaphor as a faction, but also her tag team alongside Lash Legend, the Meta Girls. Jackson debuted in 2022 after signing with WWE in 2021, teaming with Legend from the start of her run in NXT until they aligned with Noam Dar and Oro Mensah in 2023 to form Metaphor. Though the Meta Girls mostly competed in NXT, they did unsuccessfully challenge Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill on SmackDown for the main roster women's tag titles in October 2024. Belair and Naomi came to NXT to give them another chance in January 2025, another loss. The Meta Girls' final match as a team came in a 4-way for the TNA Women's Tag Team Championship at Rebellion. It seems like she had her sights set on some major goals that maybe she'll achieve elsewhere.
Main eventing on a bigger stage is a goal for 2025.
Another Metaphor member, Mensah, was also released, ending his 6-year run with the company. He debuted on the NXT UK brand in 2019, and in 2022 teamed with Ashton Smith to win the NXT UK Tag Team Championship. They were forced to vacate the titles when Smith sustained an injury. Mensah would turn heel to join Metaphor alongside Jackson and Legend after NXT UK was merged with NXT in 2022. It seems like the remaining 2 members of the group, Legend and Dar, are safe for now. After debuting in NXT UK separately, Mark and Joe Coffey teamed with Wolfgang in early 2019 to form the Gallus faction. That October, Mark and Wolfgang won the NXT UK Tag Team Championship, reigning for 497 days. During that reign, Joe Coffey was accused of sexual harassment, prompting his suspension in June, but he would eventually return. Mark Coffey captured the Heritage Cup in 2022, becoming the only member of Gallus to win a singles title. He only held it for 2 weeks. The group made their way across the pond at NXT Heatwave 2022, initially feuding with Diamond Mine before once again entering the hunt for gold at the start of 2023. Mark Coffey and Wolfgang won the NXT Tag Team Championship at Vengeance Day 2023, reigning for 176 days. Since losing the titles, they had continued to pursue gold, most recently losing a challenge against Fraxium in December 2024. The group had spent much of 2025 working in Evolve before being released on May 2nd. Dani Palmer confirmed on Instagram that her May 2nd release from WWE was also the end of her time in the ring, writing that she was officially closing out her athletic career after 3 years with the company. Palmer signed with WWE after WrestleMania Week tryouts in 2022. She debuted in a loss against Thea Hale on NXT Level Up in November, and later in NXT at New Year's Evil 2023 as part of a 20-woman battle royal. Palmer entered the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament in the latter half of that year, coming up short in the first round against Lola Vice. She spent the months after working sporadic appearances across TV and live shows. Her last match came in February in Evolve, a loss to Callie Armstrong. In her post, Palmer thanked WWE for introducing her to boyfriend Tank Ledger, one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions. She added that she was looking forward to her next chapter. Palmer had worked as a fitness instructor prior to her WWE career, having previously been a 3-time national champion in acrobatics and tumbling at Baylor University. Javier Bernal's May 2nd release ended his 3-year run in WWE. Since debuting on 205 Live in 2022, Bernal largely worked as an enhancement talent, racking up losses on NXT Level Up, Main Event, NXT, and SmackDown. He made his interpromotional debut working in Booker T's Reality of Wrestling in April 2024, in a match against ROW champion Matty Ice that ended in disqualification. Bernal's last broadcast match was a February loss to Riley Osborne in Evolve. Osborne was also among those released. He first appeared in NXT UK in 2018 and only showed up sporadically until making his full debut on NXT Level Up in 2023. He wrestled on Main Event before reaching the finals of the 2023 NXT Breakout Tournament, ultimately losing to Oba Femi. Osborne also joined Chase U as a student. Osborne appeared in TNA to qualify for the Ultimate X match for the X Division title at Emergence in August 2024, but Zachary Wentz won the title. Chase U disbanded, and Osborne's last appearance with WWE came with his Evolve victory over Bernal.
In her nearly 10 years in WWE, Sonya Deville has played a lot of roles and broken one major barrier, given that she was the first openly gay woman to be a WWE superstar. She was reportedly informed that her contract with the company will not be renewed. Deville got her start in WWE on the 2015 season of the reality training show Tough Enough. Though she was the third competitor eliminated that season, she was good enough to score a WWE contract that October and started working NXT house shows under her real name, Daria Baronato. Her first televised NXT appearance came on the July 13, 2016 episode, where she, Alexa Bliss, and Mandy Rose lost a 6-woman tag team match to Carmella, Liv Morgan, and Nikki Cross. Her name changed to Sonya Deville in April 2017, and she stayed in NXT until December 2017, when she made her way to the main roster and joined the team Absolution alongside Rose and Paige. Absolution feuded with Bayley, Mickie James, and Sasha Banks heading into 2018, but Paige's retirement from WWE led to the group disbanding that April. Rose and Deville continued to work together as Fire and Desire. As they often do, that team broke up, and the two had a no disqualification loser leaves WWE match at SummerSlam 2020, with Rose emerging the victor. Deville briefly went on hiatus to deal with some real-life legal problems involving a stalker and attempted kidnapping. She returned in a non-wrestling role as the general manager of SmackDown in 2021. Deville re-entered in-ring competition in 2022 and eventually claimed the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships alongside Chelsea Green in 2023. Unfortunately, an ACL injury in August of that year forced Deville to vacate her title. Upon her return, Deville founded Pure Fusion Collective alongside Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Deville most recently competed in the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble. It's unclear whether she will make any future appearances, but it seems like more wrestling is definitely in her future.
What's the toughest part?
Oh, the travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love wrestling, and I love the physicality, and I love everything about it pretty much.
After runs in Stardom, AEW, Revolution Pro Wrestling, and elsewhere as Bea Priestley, Blair Davenport came to WWE in NXT UK in 2021, introducing herself with a 4-match winning streak. She established herself as a force to be reckoned with in NXT UK, eventually making her way to NXT when the two brands merged in 2022. She snagged a wildcard spot in a title unification match at NXT Worlds Collide between NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose and NXT UK Women's Champion Meiko Satomura. Rose emerged victorious, but it was the start of a strong run in NXT for the next year plus. Davenport was called up to the main roster in 2024, locking up with Naomi and Indy Hartwell in a Money in the Bank triple threat qualifying match. She lost to Naomi and joined forces with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn of the Unholy Union to feud with Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair. After a loss to that trio, Davenport attempted to stake her claim on the WWE Speed Women's Championship, only to once again be bested by Naomi. Davenport's last televised WWE match was on the November 22, 2024 episode of SmackDown, where she lost in the first round of the WWE Women's United States Championship tournament to eventual winner Chelsea Green. Another longtime WWE roster member who bounced around the card quite a bit, Cedric Alexander has closed the book on his 8-year career with the company. He first broke out as part of the 2016 Cruiserweight Classic tournament, which saw fans publicly demand he be signed following a standout second-round match with Kota Ibushi. Alexander was seen thereafter on 205 Live and was often in #1 contendership matches for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Yet he never pushed for the title before 2018, when he fought his way through a tournament for the vacant belt. Alexander finally won the title in the tournament finals on the WrestleMania 34 kickoff show and held it for 181 days. After Alexander dropped the title to Buddy Murphy at Super Showdown 2018, he began to perform on the main roster full-time. His biggest claim to fame there ended up being 2 24/7 title wins in 2019 and 2020, both of which lasted less than a day. He also briefly joined the Hurt Business, winning the Raw Tag Team Championships with Shelton Benjamin in December 2020. They held the titles for 85 days, losing them to the New Day in March 2021. Just prior to his release, Alexander began appearing in NXT, where he allied himself with Javon Evans. Alexander's last match saw him fall to Ethan Page on January 28, 2025.
I need to succeed. I need this in my life.
After a long and winding 7 years with WWE, Giovanni Vinci's run with the company has come to an end. Vinci debuted under the name Fabian Eichner on NXT in September 2017. He stayed there in fairly under-the-radar capacity until May 2019, when he made his way to NXT UK to join forces with Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser in the Imperium faction. Vinci returned, along with Imperium, to NXT in 2020. He and Kaiser won the NXT Tag Team titles from Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher that May, holding them for 105 days. They lost their championships in August 2020 to Breezango, but won them back at Halloween Havoc 2021 in a Lumberjack-O-Lantern match against MSK. In their second run, Vinci and Kaiser held the titles for 158 days before dropping them back to MSK at Stand and Deliver 2022. Gunther and Kaiser were called up to the main roster in spring 2022. Vinci was not. That's when he took on his new name in NXT, reimagining himself as a wealthy European bon vivant. This didn't last long, however. Vinci was called up and reunited with Imperium in September 2022. He and Kaiser reunited as a tag team, but Vinci kept his new name.
It is such a pleasure to not having to play an act or be that character that you're actually not.
In April 2024, Kaiser turned on Vinci, who was exiled from Imperium and WWE programming. Vinci did make an attempt at a return to a short-lived NXT gimmick, but that only led to a couple quick losses on SmackDown. Vinci's last broadcast match saw him eliminated in the first round of the WWE Speed Championship #1 Contender Tournament by Sheamus. Isla Dawn is yet another NXT UK alum among the recent WWE releases. She technically made her WWE debut under the name Stacey Coates in November 2017, when she lost a squash match to Asuka on Raw, but she first showed up as Isla Dawn on NXT UK in June 2018. After NXT UK was dissolved in 2022, Dawn went to the stateside NXT, winning her first match there against Thea Hale that December. Dawn started teaming with Alba Fire in 2023, and the two claimed the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships at Stand and Deliver that April. They lost the titles in a unification match against then WWE Women's Tag Team Championships Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler 2 months later, but the pair continued to operate as a tag team on the main roster. Calling themselves the Unholy Union, Dawn and Fire shocked the world when they claimed the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships in a triple threat against Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Baszler, and Zoe Stark at Clash of the Castle in 2024. The pair held on to the titles for an impressive 77 days before dropping them back to Belair and Cargill at Bash in Berlin. The Unholy Union continued to operate as a team, at least until Dawn's release. Her last broadcast match was a loss to Shotzi in the WWE Speed Women's Championship #1 Contendership Tournament semifinals. Duke Hudson's release came as a shock to many familiar with NXT, given his massive popularity during his tenure with the Chase U faction. Hudson was in WWE for 6 years. Hudson started his WWE career in 2019 under his real name Brendan Vink. After appearing exclusively at NXT house shows, he made his first televised appearance on the March 3, 2020 episode of Raw, where he and teammate Shane Thorne were defeated by the Street Profits. Hudson continued to make main roster appearances as an enhancement talent under his real name throughout 2020. He began performing under the name Duke Hudson during the 2021 NXT Breakout Tournament, where he made it to the second round before losing to Carmelo Hayes. Hudson's career remained quiet until he became embroiled in a feud against Cameron Grimes. Hudson ultimately lost that feud after losing both a hair versus hair match and a no-holds-barred match. Hudson continued to float around NXT until November 2022, when he was integrated into Chase U as the faction's flag bearer alongside cheerleader Thea Hale and Andre Chase. Hudson and Chase won the NXT Tag Team Championships in October 2023, but they only held those titles for 21 days. Hudson's last televised match was on the October 9, 2024 episode of NXT, where he lost to Ridge Holland. Chase U was disbanded shortly after. Hudson released a cryptic video in which he attempts to work through his WWE departure.
How do you feel about wasting 6 years of your life in that building? I wouldn't say it was a waste. Come on.
After runs in Ring of Honor and TNA, Elektra Lopez made her way to NXT in June 2021, debuting in a loss to Frankie Monet. What followed was an up-and-down run in NXT, where she logged some wins but also plenty of losses, and never got the chance to compete for the NXT Women's Championship. Lopez had an odd history with the stable Legado del Fantasma. She joined the group in 2022 when it was made up of Santos Escobar, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde. Toward the end of the year, the stable was called up to the main roster, but the three men were accompanied not by Lopez, but by Zelina Vega. Lopez, meanwhile, remained in NXT, forming a team with Lola Vice. After lots of twists and turns involving Legado del Fantasma and the LWO, Lopez was finally called up to the main roster and rejoined the group in January 2024. Though she did notch a win against Vega in April of that year, she rarely got to showcase her talents in the ring after that. Her last TV match was a loss to Tiffany Stratton in the first round of the WWE Women's United States Championship Tournament. Yes, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson have been released by WWE. Again. Gallows previously had a run in the company Asbestos and a member of the Straight Edge Society ending in 2010, but he and Anderson debuted as a duo in the company in 2016, joining up alongside AJ Styles as the Club, an attempt to recreate their Bullet Club faction from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Gallows and Anderson's first WWE run saw them feud with the New Day, as well as Cesaro and Sheamus. They won the Raw Tag Team titles from the latter duo at the 2017 Royal Rumble Kickoff Show and held the championships for 63 days, dropping them to the Hardy Boys at WrestleMania 33 in a 4-way ladder match. In 2019, Gallows, Anderson, and Styles rebranded their group as the OC, or Original Club, and the team known as the Good Brothers outside WWE won the Raw Tag titles again in a triple threat with the Revival and the Usos. Gallows and Anderson dropped the titles just 21 days later to Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins, kicking off a string of losses that led to the duo's eventual release in 2020, while Styles stuck around. The Good Brothers made a return to their old stomping grounds in TNA, winning 3 Impact Tag Team Championships, and appeared on AEW television a few times as well. They returned to WWE in 2022, reuniting with Styles and adding Mia Yim to reform the OC. Most recently, Gallows and Anderson had been making occasional appearances on NXT, and their last televised match saw them take a loss to Hank and Tank on September 24th. The Authors of Pain are another tag team that have seen something of a revolving door in WWE, with their 2025 release being their second from the company. Their manager, Paul Ellering, went with them too. After initially debuting under their real names in 2015, they became Akam and Razar, the Authors of Pain in NXT in 2016, joined by industry veteran Ellering as their manager. They'd go on to win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic that year and defeat DIY for the NXT Tag Team Championships at TakeOver San Antonio in 2017. They held those titles for a whopping 203 days, finally losing them to Sanity at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. AOP made their main roster debut on the April 9th, 2018 episode of Raw. They scored the Raw Tag Team Championships after defeating Seth Rollins in a 2-on-1 handicap match in November 2018. They only held those titles for 35 days, after which they floated around the main roster before being released in 2020. The team returned in January 2024 to aid Karrion Kross in his misadventures against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. AOP's last WWE match was on the January 2nd, 2025 episode of Main Event, where they defeated Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde of the LWO.
Carlito's second WWE run was a long time in the making. The son of the legendary Puerto Rican wrestler and promoter Carlos Colon, Carlito was mostly a mid-carder in WWE from 2003 to 2010, though he had a memorable character. After his first release, he returned to WWC, his dad's promotion in Puerto Rico, for over a decade. He made a surprise return in the 2021 Royal Rumble, but didn't come back again until he teamed up with Bad Bunny at Backlash in Puerto Rico in 2023. His second WWE run started in earnest after that. He was first a member of the LWO, but betrayed them to join the Judgment Day. His role in the heel group was mostly as wisecracking sidekick to the group. He mostly worked tag and dark matches. Carlito's contract expired in June, just days after he returned to WWC and won the Puerto Rico Championship. Back when she was known as Sarah Logan, the real-life Sarah Rowe first got released from WWE in 2020, in one of the infamous waves of COVID-era cuts. She initially signed in 2016, debuted in NXT in 2017, and moved up to the main roster as a member of Riot Squad later that same year. During her first departure from WWE, Rose said that she'd be away for the foreseeable future, but she came back in the 2022 Royal Rumble. That November, she joined up with her husband, Eric's tag team, the War Raiders, and took on her Valhalla persona. In April 2024, Rowe took maternity leave to give birth to her and Eric's second son. Rowe did not return to competition before revealing on Instagram in June 2025 that WWE wouldn't be renewing her contract. She wrote a lengthy post about how upset she was and said she would miss her fans. Rowe was moved to the alumni section of WWE.com in September. Her final match in WWE came in February 2024, a last-chance battle royal for the Elimination Chamber. Wes Lee achieved a lot in NXT, winning the North American Championship and the tag titles twice alongside Zachary Wentz.
It felt like we were watching ourselves and just observing our dreams come true.
But spending 5 years in a developmental brand isn't a great sign for upward momentum, and he got his WWE release on October 10th. Lee had a long run with the North American title, 269 days, but that ended in July 2023, and he never got his hands on NXT Gold again after that. He made several attempts at both the North American and the Speed Championships, all losses. Lee had also attempted to compete for the NXT Championship, but never even managed to become the top contender. His last prominent title attempt came at 2024's Deadline during the Iron Survivor Challenge, eventually won by Oba Femi. Sadly, Lee's trajectory seemed to be trending downward. His final appearances were not even on NXT. He worked TNA Sacrifice in March, and his last appearance was on the October 8th episode of Evolve in a support role. Ashanti the Adonis announced that he'd been released from the company on August 10th. The NXT stalwart took the news in stride, writing on X, "This is a brand new beginning. I'm becoming the best version of myself." Adonis initially joined WWE in 2019, running with Top Dollar, B-Fab, and Isaiah Scott, aka Swerve Strickland, in the faction Hit Row. The group was released as a whole in 2021, which led Swerve to AEW. The rest of Hit Row got re-signed to WWE in 2022, initially appearing on SmackDown. Eventually, the group went their separate ways, with Top Dollar being released in 2023. Adonis teamed with Cedric Alexander briefly in NXT before Alexander was also released, leaving Adonis alone to become something of a Lothario. Adonis had been involved on screen with NXT women talent like Carmen Petrovich, but largely otherwise served as enhancement talent. Jazmyn Nyx was unceremoniously written off NXT television in a September backstage attack. When her Fatal Influence stablemates, JC Jane and Fallon Henley, found her laid out, they didn't attempt to seek vengeance. They didn't even bother to figure out who attacked her. Jane said she felt like it was time to kick her out of the stable anyway. It was revealed the following day that Nyx was not injured, and there were no plans to bring her up to the main roster. WWE chose not to renew her contract. The former professional soccer player signed with WWE in November 2022. She debuted as a Chase University student in January 2024 alongside Jane. The pair turned heel on Chase U and Thea Hale after helping to save the school in storyline. They soon aligned themselves with Henley, forming Fatal Influence. Nyx's last match in WWE was a losing effort in a 6-woman tag alongside her Fatal Influence stablemates at Homecoming against Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquer, and Lyra Valkyria. Nyx never won a title in the company. Edris Enofe announced his departure from WWE in a short video on X in September.
I'm gonna trust my gut on this.
He said that his departure was a decision he had thought about for a long time. He also expressed appreciation for the opportunities he was given over the previous 4 years. Enofe signed with WWE in 2021 and teamed with Malik Blade in NXT. He initially caught fans' attention on social media by seemingly inking a WWE logo on his chest, though it was later revealed to be a fake tattoo. His final match in Evolve aired after his departure on October 22nd. His last televised NXT match was in June 2024. Lance Anoa'i may come from a famous family, but even that legacy couldn't save his cursed run that never was in WWE. He reportedly signed in the summer of 2024, but couldn't make his debut because of an injury. Reports stated that he faced yet another injury setback in the summer of 2025. He ended up never appearing on WWE television or even a house show before announcing his departure from the company in October. He wrote on X, "I didn't have the best of luck since I arrived. I will not let this stop me from achieving to be great. I've worked hard on the indies for 15 years. Now let's get back to work." Anoa'i had made some WWE appearances well before his recent non-run, though. He wrestled as an enhancement talent on SmackDown, NXT, and Raw in 2014, 2017, and 2019. A whole bunch of recruits to WWE's various low-level developmental divisions left the company in October. Former women's ID champion Kylie Ray revealed on X that WWE let her know that her WWE ID contract would not be renewed. The news came after Ray announced her second pregnancy and vacated the Women's ID Championship. The same day, Evolve's Zeta Steele announced she had decided not to renew her WWE ID contract. She was the first talent to be signed to the program back in November 2024. Another Evolve talent, Bryce Donovan, confirmed his departure on X. He sent thanks to WWE Hall of Famer Sean X-Pac Waltman for being the best trainer he could have asked for. Braden B.J. Ray, a WWE LFG fixture known for drawing the ire of Bully Ray, was reported to have been released not long after announcing he needed surgery for a torn rotator cuff and labrum. Stevie Turner first joined WWE as part of NXT UK in 2021. She was later appointed co-assistant general manager of NXT alongside Robert Stone, working with Stone and Ava as the backstage authorities. In March 2025, she was appointed the general manager of Evolve, adopting the moniker Prime Minister. She made her final WWE appearance on an episode of Evolve in November. Draco Knox, who had primarily wrestled on Season 1 of WWE LFG under the name Drake Starks, and WWE ID prospect Zara Zacher both confirmed their departures on social media. Jamar Hampton was also amongst the departures. Earlier in the year, he expressed issues with Hulk Hogan tributes. Hayes Jamison, Jin Tala, and Summer Sorrell rounded out the batch of talent that was let go.